If you enjoy this content, you'll enjoy Sentinel Training. We're different because we actually care, and that pays off. TrainSentinel.com. Try it. You never know where you might wind up.
Hello, welcome.
Hello.
Happy Thanksgiving if you're in America watching this. Canada have a different Thanksgiving, I think, if memory serves, in like September or something maybe. You're from France, are you?
Yeah, that's right.
But you live in the UK or you live in France?
No, in the UK, in Manchester.
Okay, wow. Okay. That's why Lucy was in Manchester, because that's your local gym or whatever. Okay, right. Okay, that makes sense. I was like, oh, Manchester is weird. Not weird, but an unusual location for that. I want to do something before we move on, right? So today's Thanksgiving in America, tomorrow's Black Friday. Let me just read this so I get this right. So tomorrow, any orders over $50 on Paper Street. Let me just make sure I get this right. So the Black Friday sale, you get 6 Soma, which is their new vanilla oat latte, or 6 Frost, which is this. It used to be like Nitro, but it's just cold brew now, and it's apparently a nicer. I haven't actually opened this. I don't want to drink it now because it's like fucking 8 p.m. See, it's $30, so it's $2.50 per can. If you get a 12 pack, so 6 of each. And if you order over $50, you get free shipping. This is for the States, obviously. So Black Friday sale will be available for Black Friday, Black Saturday, Black Sunday, and Cyber Monday. And then after that, that deal is only going to be available for wholesale, so affiliates or other businesses. I guess I qualify as a business, so maybe I could do it. But yeah, Gabe and Paper Street support everybody, so everybody should support them. Yeah, they're like innovating caffeine and CrossFit. So I think if you're in any way inclined to do that, I'm going to have this on Friday tomorrow because I have a daytime show, so I'm going to have that. I've held on to it for basically a month. Apparently the shelf life is really long on it too. He was saying that it's way longer, so it's better for affiliates because they had these little cans, but the shelf life was like 3 months or something. But the shelf life on this is longer, so they can sell it. They can stock up, have a big batch and then sell them off. So if you like coffee, you should try that. Have you got kids or a child?
No, I have two boys.
What age are they?
5 and 2.
Right. So you're in the thick of it.
Yeah. So they're in bed now, so it's good time now.
Yeah, same. I have 5, 4, and 1. So they're asleep.
Good man.
So that's why my 8 p.m. slot. That's why I picked my 8 p.m. slot.
I understand now.
Yeah. People in America are like, God, 3 p.m. is a weird time for it. It's like my kids are asleep. The house is quiet. It's good. I've had some days. I remember I had Adrian Bosman on a while back, and one of my kids shit their pants in bed, like while they were asleep. And I was like, I'll be back in 2 minutes. And it was live, and he stayed on. I ran upstairs, changed. I was like, of course. The only time it's ever happened, I was like, of course it would happen now. So I changed my kid, sorted everything. I came back down. I was like, yeah, my kid shit the bed, like literally. But we're sorted.
2 minutes. I mean, you were efficient if you sorted all that in that time.
I tell you what, when you can strip a bed and just gather everything up in a ball, and the child barely woke up, like it was surgical what I was doing. So are you solo? Are you just your own entity now? Because you were Red Pill, right?
Yeah, that's right. So for a good amount of years, 6 years, I was with Red Pill, and then it's been a bit more than a year now. So just went on my own, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What's like spurred you on to just go solo?
Too young boy, being in charge of. There's the aspect where I wanted to be in control of my calendar, and also just like because I couldn't travel as much, being able to just be more with the athletes I coach here. So just having more training days here, being able to organize training camps, here in Manchester. So that was, that's why I made the decisions, just because I couldn't just fit everything with, everyone's schedule. So I was just like, I'm just gonna, make something that works for me.
Was that like 6 years is a long time? Was that awkward? Was there any animosity or any, because
No.
Lucy was a red pill athlete. So then if you leave and bring her, or if you leave and, is there any awkwardness about that kind of stuff?
No, because I mean, it's like I'm still very good friend with them. Like it was more, an understanding of my situation. So yeah, there wasn't any animosity. There wasn't any discussion around. It was more like athletes, like where do they go? It was more like just if they want to stay with you, just they stay with you. Like it's such, they value so much like the coach athlete relationship that it's not something you want to break just for something that doesn't concern them in terms of what the decision was for.
I wonder if you said now, after Lucy wins Wadapalooza, podiums at the games, podiums at Rogue, if you were like, now I'm gonna leave, they would be like, because then she was injured. It was maybe a bit of an easier decision for them to be like, yeah, whatever, man, I don't mind. Like, take whoever you want.
Yeah. Well,
interesting. Maybe I'm just too cynical. Maybe that's my problem. So I will come back to Lucy because I want to talk about her a bit. So how did you come from living in France and all of that to getting involved with Red Pill and moving over? How did that kind of process happen?
That wasn't a straightforward journey. Basically, like I studied, in different places in France. I finished my second master in Milan, in Italy. And I got a job. Basically, like I was doing studying and working in something completely unrelated with CrossFit, and so I worked for an Italian bank in London. So I studied in Italy, got offered a job for an Italian bank in London, worked in London for how long was that? 8 years, and then found CrossFit along the way. Fell in love with it. I used to coach tennis when I was younger in France. So I was just like, got into coaching while I had my banking job. And then I was like, I just want to make the switch, like go where my heart is, if that makes sense. At the start, it was really to open a gym. Like it wasn't, I wasn't coaching athletes, wasn't on my radar just yet. But when I made that change, I had met James Chelsea for a session to help me fix, I had an injury on my elbow. So he helped me. And just through that process, like I was like, I want to understand like him and Phil Mansfield, who trained him, mentored him for years. Like they know something I want to know in terms of biomechanics, things like that. And I was like, if I want to be as good of a coach I want to be, I need to understand that part, because, I could see, you can cue people to death, but there are some things, if their body don't let them do it, they're not going to do it. So, I just went and did a mentorship with them. They offered me to work with them for, those few years at Red Pill. And that's where basically, like, I was like, well, park the idea of the gym for now. Like, that's an opportunity you have to take. So I started, they mentored me, and then I worked with them one-on-one, coaching athletes directly. And yeah, that's how I ended up, doing coaching like I do now.
What was your first master's in?
So yeah, banking, insurance, and finance.
That was the first one. And what was the second one?
Well, it was basically like specializing in, the name, quantitative finance and risk management. So it's like math applied to finance and financial assets.
So companies want to get a loan, and then you sort of almost assessing the risk involved with whatever.
It was more for me, it was like financial markets. So I was trader for 8 years. So it was
So
more like
Wolf of Wall
pricing.
Street, but in Italian and in London.
That's it. Good.
Except without the
Perfect
insider
picture.
trading. Yeah, without the insider and less cocaine, I
Well,
imagine as well.
I won't say it here. Less cocaine, that I can say.
Yeah. All right. Wow. So like that, was that a lucrative career? Like banking, was that like very, very financially secure?
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
were you married when you decided to stop doing that, or were you single, or what was the story there?
Well, I had met who is now my wife. And I was still working at the bank. So we, like for that year where I was brewing the decision for a while, and then I met her, and she was really supportive in that situation where she was like, just go where your heart is. Like I wasn't happy, like, yes, the situation is great, but it's just a place where my values were not aligned with that environment. And I was like,
Yeah.
I just don't want to spend my life there. Yes, I'm going to, you're very financially safe, but I'm going to look back at it and be like, well, yeah, not really enjoyed it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. It's
So
a big,
yeah, it just went from...
It's a big move. Like it's a big big change, big risk, I guess. Were there periods like after you did it where you kind of thought like, fuck, maybe I should have just stayed, maybe it was more secure? Because it's kind of, even if you're coaching, like opening a gym is maybe it wasn't as big of a risk back then, but certainly now it's not as financially viable or as easy to do maybe as it once was. Like there's not as many units. It's not, it's not as straightforward. It's also, forever known that coaching is pretty volatile when it comes to opportunities and security and employment and wages and all that kind of stuff. Like it must have been hairy enough at the start.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't an easy... That's why it took me probably like 2-3 years to make the call, because it was a big jump. You don't know where you're going. Like you have it's sort of a stable job when you work as a trader. Like you can get fired really quickly if your performance are not there, but at least, yeah, you have some buffer and you can find somewhere else. Like as self-employed as a coach, that was a big jump, but I was like, I'm gonna take the chance now. If I do it, it's at the age I was. And it's also why I straight away went and looked for, the knowledge I mentioned before, because I just didn't... It was either, well, just open a gym, and we all know how challenging it can be to make that profitable, but also get knowledge that means you can bring something different to people. So then, well, you can, charge a little bit more, offer a service that has a value more than just coaching classes, where, it's a different, it's coaching at a gym is, a different situation financially as well. Like it's not always, you can see it in the UK, like it's not, there's a lot of turnover because it's hard to make it a long-term career. So that's why I did the mentorship I did, and that I specialize in what I'm doing now.
What would you say is your best attribute as a coach? Like what's your biggest strength?
I think you asked me one. Maybe two that come to mind, but sorry, go on.
A better way of asking, maybe what would someone like Lucy say is your best attribute? Because it can be kind of hard to praise yourself, maybe.
I think my attention to detail and the amount of information I can put together with that. And I think that's from my background, if that makes sense. And I think I have a good sense of people, like, and what they need when they need it, or like,
Yeah, because even like I've been around Lucy when she's competing, and she's an unusual. All the athletes are kind of weird. Like they're all a bit odd in general, but especially when it comes to in the warm-up area, or, you know, especially before events, they all have their different rituals. They all have their different like things they go through. But I find Lucy, she's funny to watch, or amusing to watch, maybe more so than funny, because she, depending on what the workout is, her demeanor is completely different. And her, like, sometimes you'd be like, oh, I can approach her, no problem. And other times you're like, nope, I'm not going over there because it looks pretty fucking intense. So yeah, I think you need to be pretty clued into like what's happening emotionally, as well as like just, you know, warm-ups and shit. So you had two athletes at the game. You had a team athlete at the games this year too, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Who is that?
Nikita Yundov.
Okay, he used to be on that. Maybe I'm wrong now. Did he used to be on that underdogs team? No, the kind of
yeah. He was with them on that team.
Kleshnikov or something. I think. Let's see if I can find
exactly of the team.
Yeah, it was like a European underdogs team, basically, wasn't it?
No, I think it was the American one.
Oh, was the American one? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me bring up your page here, because there's actually a photo of the two of you together, isn't there?
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. Camp Rhino.
Two longest standing athletes have been working with, so it was nice. Like Nikita has been over to the States for a few years now, so I don't get to catch up in person with him very often. So that was nice.
There you are.
That's it.
So how often would you see? You basically don't see him in person at all, then, really?
Last time, yeah, like it was a good couple of years. Like we stopped for a little bit working together. I think it was 2022 or 3, and then we resumed like a year ago. So in that interlude, I hadn't seen him, but it was the last time was 2022 when I met up in person, because he moved to the States, and I hadn't seen him.
And how often are you eyes on with Lucy then?
At least every 2 weeks. So every second Wednesday, I do a training days for all the athletes I coach, so they can come up here, and we just either do, like, I have them do something specific to what they need, or we all train together. It just really depends. So she comes every second Wednesday for sure, and then we add on to that when we need. Like, she was here for a couple of days yesterday and today, for example.
Okay.
We try to do that fairly regularly.
Is it very difficult to coach someone when you just don't see them? Does that just come down to trust, like that you trust that they're doing what you're telling them to do? First, like if you see her every couple of weeks, it's a lot easier to correct and say like, oh shit, I didn't realize she was doing that when she does whatever movement. I need to do whatever. Whereas with him, it's like, wow, that time is slower than I thought it would be, or faster than I thought. So you're kind of, it's more, is it like a delayed reaction versus with her, it's more immediate?
Yeah, exactly. Like nothing replaces time in person, because like you can pick up on things, like even some correction or some debrief after a workout. Like there's some things where the timing is important as well, and to be able to catch that on the moment makes a big difference. So it's two different ways to work with someone that is purely remote, where with Nikita, we'd been working together since 2019, so we know each other quite well. So even if we'd stop for a couple of years, like we have a long, standing relation where he knows what I expect of him given the training. When he sees the training, he has a good sense of what he needs to do. He sends me a lot of videos that I can feed back, quite well on, but there are something or concept that are really difficult to explain remotely, and that's why I do those training camps a few times a year, where we do like a full-on week, and I can really dig into the very little details. So that's, you can have really good progression and good result with someone that is fully remote, but the speed at which you will get there is a little bit different, and if you can have more time in person. So that,
Is it easier then to have someone say, like, someone who's at Lucy's standard now become remote because the foundations are already in place, and it's more so like, sporadic minor tweaks will improve things versus, okay, we need all these holes that we need to fix, and there's all these things that we need to do?
Yeah, like, so if you have someone like beginner, intermediate, where there's a lot of skill element to it, where like the feedback in session, or demoing them or making them feel what it should be like that's crucial. That's what they need the most. When you go towards the top end, where it's like the little details, or even it's how how you approach things, the mental element that goes into performance, like it's things where you don't need as much intensity in the presence, but it's still important to have that. But they are a little bit more they can be a little bit more autonomous with that.
Yeah, more self-sufficient, like they know themselves, the different things or whatever.
Yeah.
Is it do you find, you just obviously find it more rewarding than having someone, say, who can do pull-ups, and you tweak one thing for them that means that their cycle rate is marginally faster, or someone who's good at bar muscle ups, but you change something that changes, I don't know, whatever muscle group they're using, that you correct something for them, versus a class of 20 Gen Pop people where you're kind of bringing them through the class, and like coaching, sure, but not that minute detail, like the finer detail stuff.
Well, that's what I love the most, like the little detail, like really going and finding every little bit of performance that you can, like from the skill, the efficiency, the even like prepping for workouts, execution, strategy, like all that is like
So it's
I love
sport
that.
coaching more so than like
just
CrossFit coaching, say. Yeah.
But I also, like, last year, before the second was born, Raphael was born, like I went back to coach one morning a week because I miss the community. Like that's what got me into CrossFit. So I was like, I reached out to the gym where I moved to do my one-on-one coaching, and I was like, can I do a shift? Like I would love to coach the classes, especially because they love their CrossFit there. Like it's a really good group of people, and I miss that element, like the social element, helping them as well, because you can bring a lot to those people, like to people in the more beginner in their skill level and their approach. So I miss that. Like I haven't done that for a while now, that with the two boys and my wife being back at work, morning and evening are quite like prime time, getting everyone ready to go, and school and nursery. So I haven't coached classes in a little bit, but I like both, but I'm gonna spend most of my time on the sports coaching, because that's what I'm most excited.
With Lucy then, so obviously this year has been, like the last whatever, like 14 months have just been incredible. Like you go back to October last year and it's just like reached the pinnacle and just like stayed there of like her performance and stuff. Say if you go back pre-injury, when she was, where are we, like 2022, like early 2020, or 2022, that was the games year, wasn't it, with the skiing and shit? Or was that 23, 22? That year, were you aware of the potential that she had? Like obviously she's a games athlete and whatever, but are you like, oh, she could podium potentially? Like did you think that was possible pre-injury?
Well, I think pre-injury I thought and knew she had a lot of potential. Then what does that mean in terms of where the podium, the ranking, like these things you can't quantify that clearly, if that makes sense. The thing is, like, what I knew is that I could see the rate of progression she's at since we started. Also how green she was in terms of competition. Like she had 3 major competition up to the game. Like she had Wadapalooza, semi-final games.
Yeah. It was all
So,
like
you know,
UK sort of competitions then, was it? Like
yeah,
Battle for Middle Ground and those, yeah.
Exactly. And there's a lot to be said, like spending time on that floor, like racing in that environment, like there are levels. So it's like, I knew the potential was there. Then it's hard to know, where things are going to end up, if that makes sense.
Yeah. When she gets injured then, or well, I mean, she was injured for a while, I guess, but when it's confirmed that it's not a simple issue and that it's not, I'm guessing would it be accurate to say that you were kind of looking at it, trying to figure it out, and then you asked Jousey to have a look at it, try and, like it kind of goes up the hierarchy of experience of looking at the physiology of people, basically.
Yeah, like it was something like, I had a chat with Giles. I had a chat with Phil as well, who I was really close to at the time working. Just let's put the brain together. Like what's going on? Or the thing is, like, he was, it took a year to get the diagnostics. So, you're like, well, you go see someone, they tell you it's inflammation and it's, lack of shoulder stability, and you don't, she had an X-ray scan, nothing came up on those things. So you're like, okay, there's nothing structurally, no broken bone, anything. So, you try to go down a path and then things don't improve. You go see a surgeon a second, and then it was just like a long, just to understand what was going on. Really, it was a long process.
What do you do? Like, obviously, you're just waiting, I suppose, and giving her like, I don't know, fucking bike workouts to do or something, or a lot of lunges and whatever, like keeping her busy, sort of. But like at any point, are you just a sounding board for her? Are you just like almost like a psychiatrist, just listening and saying like, yeah, I know it's really frustrating and we'll get to the bottom of it, sort of thing? Or like what it can't have been an easy period of time to coach someone where it's just constant frustration and lack of understanding of what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very hard period. Like those 3 years, it was challenging. I mean, extremely challenging for Lucy. Even for me, like it challenged me in different ways. But like from the start, it was really like, okay, for me, I had at the forefront. I mean, there's still a lot of things we can do. There's still a lot of things we can develop and work on. It was also everything I can do to make sure that we keep as much condition, upper body, even on the side where she can't do much with her wrist. Like, let's be creative. Like, you should see some of the session I wrote for her, but it was like, the crawl on elbows, support position on elbows, like doing commando pull-up where she would, just be on a bar, like pulling herself up, like just all the things where
is that basically like, so that when she obviously you're going to have work to do to catch up, basically, but it's so that you're not in a complete hole, that you're like, because obviously the easy thing to do is just be like, all right, let's just leave pulling and pressing. But then if you do that completely, you're just fucked when if it comes back.
No, exactly. It was like, what can we do now to still improve what we can improve and keep things as close as, it was more to gain time when she can reintroduce some of the things, if she can, because at the time, like, we didn't have a diagnostic. Even after that, even after the surgery, he wasn't sure how much she could be doing. So it was just like, let's just take the next step. But even in the back of my mind, I was like, let's make sure everything that we can make strong is strong. So then that takes pressure off the wrist as well, if she can go back to those movements. So that was like the thought process, and all the training we've done for 3 years. Like, she kept training. Like, it's one thing with Lucy as well, where, there was no, it was hard. There was no certainty on what would be the other side of, you know, that journey. But she was like, I'm gonna keep training. I'm gonna do everything, you know, you tell me to do. We're gonna still put the work. Just because that's how she is. Like, let's find a solution for the wrist and let's keep training. And so, you know, it was there. It was a period of time where it was hard even for her to get, you know, going with the training, and just it wasn't the same intensity, but the work was still being done. And it was, you know, even for me being okay to have that, like you can't be as intense. You know, you're not training for a competition, but she was still doing the work, and that paid off when you see, you know, on the back of it, how things have gone.
So is that like, if you like, if you enjoy preparing people for workouts and prepare, like the mental preparation and the physical preparation, and if you like the kind of, you know, like the strategy of workouts and the kind of almost chess game element of the competition weekend or whatever, and the minutia, improving the minutia, was that a frustrating time to be a coach then, when it's basically, or were the cogs kept turning, or were you kept busy because you were trying to figure out ways to get around, like work around things, and, you know, find different ways of doing things that maybe hadn't been done?
It wasn't as like, it wasn't the frustration of the missing out of that part. Like, it was, you know, for a long time before like, it's basically like the first thing was like, did I miss something? Like, what could I have done different that potentially have prevented that? So, like, you know, there was a lot there, like, where I was like, oh, like, did you miss some things there where we ended up in that situation? Then it turned out, you know, like, you know, with the diagnostic, what she had, like, it was, you know, it was something that genetically, and the way her wrist was, that was predisposing her to that. So for me, like, it was that period of time where you're, you know, and I think it's healthy, you need to question what would you have done different, if that makes sense. Then it was like, it's more, it was hard to see her, you know, in that place where you're like, you know, you don't wish it on anybody, if that makes sense. And for me, that kind of, she was still dedicated, and I just matched that energy, trying to find solution and keep her, you know, as much progressing as we could. That's what driven me. It was just a different challenge because it was unknown, if that makes sense. Like, there is no protocol coming back from that type of injury. You don't even know where, you know, are you going to get a roadblock at some point? So it was more like, it challenged me to find a way to train her when she couldn't do a lot of the things, and even on the back of it, to kind of bring her back to full training and doing everything in a smart way, to make sure that we don't, you know, that she would be progressing and the wrist would be happy along the way.
Is it, do you think, was there ever a chance that she'd quit? Like, did you ever get that impression during it, that it's like, oh fuck, if she has another bad week here, she could just call it?
You mean before the diagnostics or after?
Even, any period. Like 3 years is such a long time to just like not be able to do what you have trained to do. Do you know what I mean?
I think probably, and she's expressed it, where last year, you know, was the defining moment, if that makes sense. Like, if she did Marbella in 24, and I think she, you know, it was more like, okay, let's have 6 months to a year, let's do that season, let's see how we can progress things. And, you know, that's when she would make that decision. Before that, like, it was more, she had the surgery, and the thing that was in the forefront of her mind was like, I just want to be able to rehab the wrist well, to be able to do everything for my daily life. And then it was just like, let's take the next step, like let's do the next milestone in terms of training, and then let's go a little bit further.
At the start, it's like, oh, I can brush my hair, that's good. And then it's like, let's see if I can do a pull-up. Oh, I can do a pull-up. Okay, let's see. And then it just gradually snowballed to podium.
Yeah. And that, because at the start it was even lift a cup of tea and without pain. That was the win number one. And it was more like, and that's what we kept doing. It was like, let's not think too far, because that's too far. Let's just break it down. Like, that's what we focus on. That's the next. Once you can do that, we'll move on to that. And I think that's what kept us like, just achievable goal, and we keep moving that along.
Like, in that time that she, can train but not train. Like, it's not like she's doing games training, or she's not training at the level that she should be, say, or could have been. Obviously, she's aware and you're aware that the gap is then widening, because everybody that she would have been a peer of is getting fitter, faster, stronger. Like, they're just continually improving, maybe getting some like small injuries, whatever. But broadly speaking, over those 3 years, everybody's getting stronger, everybody's getting fitter, everybody's getting faster. And then she is doing things, but there still is going to be a gap. What do you do then? Like, how do you not just overload things when you're like, all right, all these boxes are ticked, fuck, let's go, like, green lights, we can move, but then not burn out by just putting way too much on, because there's how do you avoid that sense of panic of like, all these girls are so much better than you, because they were already better, and now they've had a 3-year head start essentially. Like, how do you bridge that gap without getting into sort of a negative headspace about it?
Well, that's a constant battle. Like, for the athlete, that's the constant battle. Like, it's even watching from the sideline, you think everyone is so much faster. Like you said, they're putting the work you can't put, so they are progressing faster. And even you watch them and you're like, I remember like once what competition she went and commented, like she was doing the commentary, and she came back and she was like everything is
semi-finals
so fit,
in Europe, I think.
Yeah, like, she was really in the middle of it, and she was like, like, from that sideline, everyone is so fit, and you'll never be back at that level. So, but that's the battle where it was like, let's just focus on on us. Like, I knew like there were things that had progressed, and we could see that the progression was there. Like, she could do a lot of lower body work, work on her power. Like, there were a lot of things where we knew there was progress. The thing you can't touch, like, you don't know where you're at. So that's always like making sure we have those little goals. We focus on her path, her journey, being like, okay, like, you can't compare yourself now to those people, because you're not at the stage where, like, where you're going back to the floor. Like, we still need X amount of work to even you lining up to Marbella, if that makes sense. Like, there was a year before that point. So it's just keeping those, those thoughts will always be there. It's just like, what do you tell them when they come up? And that's those discussions, is having those discussions with Lucy. And it's for her to be, when she's in that frame of mind, to be like, that's not helpful. I can't do anything about that. Let's just do my work and see where I'm at when, it's time to compete again.
Was it made easier or maybe more palatable, the fact that there was a gap? Was maybe she was able to not overlook it, but like ignore it, because of the wins she was having and being able to do certain. So like, if she comes back and does a workout with, I don't know, like power snatches and muscle ups or something, and she's frustrated at that she's slower than she would have been 3 years previously, but then she has that sort of win or the joy of like, shit, I can do power snatches and I didn't think I'd be able to drink a cup of tea, and I can do muscle ups and I didn't think I'd be able to brush my hair.
Well, yeah, that all that has given a perspective. Like that's one of the things where, you know, on the back of it, like it's an added strength. Like I think that experience had brought her something more to her. I think, you know, that perspective stops really quickly when you're as competitive as she is, where she's like, you know, I used to be able to do XYZ, or, you know, like, so yeah, it's a constant battle, and it was more like, yeah, it was more, let's just make sure, you know, we keep on putting the reps, just give yourself 6-8 weeks to do that movement, and then let's see where you're at. And usually, like, the rate of progression, you know, you're not starting from scratch. It's things you've done, you've built some other things around it that makes those movements more efficient, you're stronger, more powerful. So then, like, that comes back quicker and even better after a while. But it's just that first part where you reintroduce them, yeah, you just need to give yourself the time. Like, it's one thing I told her quite often. It was like, just give yourself the time, like, give yourself enough time to put the work, put the reps. Yeah, you can't compare yourself to 3 years ago or where you wish you'd be now after 2 weeks of doing ring muscle up, for example.
Yeah.
And it's something where...
Sorry, go on.
No, I was about to say, it's something where she's really good at switching those things, or she's smart in, like, Wodapalooza, for example, like, ring muscle up, her working set when she went to Wodapalooza was actually, it would be 3 to 5 reps, which was far from what she could have done three years ago. But she was like, she's someone where she's going to make the best game plan or follow the best game plan we build for where she's at now, and she's going to stick to it and execute really well on it. So, you know, you have those frustration, but then she's able to turn them and focus on what she has to do when it's time.
You didn't go to, you have to kind of pick and choose. Like, I know this battle. You have to pick and choose where you go and when you go, because there's that moment, you know, where you say to your wife, like, so Lucy has a competition. you're like, which one do I broach? Like, what's the most valuable I can be? Where can I go? So you didn't go to Marbella. And I remember I kind of followed her around a bit, kind of annoyed her a bit over that weekend. And I saw like the long like messages and notes of like, here's your warm up, here's like bringing through everything.
Yeah.
And then you didn't go to Wodapalooza, is that right?
No, I didn't.
So those two competitions, like, what are you going through at home then? When you're just like, Wodapalooza is a bit easier maybe because you can watch it and you can actually actively engage. But like when you're waiting for text updates, or you're waiting for like, I mean, I guess Marbella, are you basically waiting for like, everything feels my wrist feels fine, let's go, like blah, blah, blah. And then, or are you gone beyond that stage by the time Marbella comes? Are you fully confident and just like waiting for, you know, whatever happens? You're not actually concerned about the injury anymore?
No, at that point, like, I mean, it was more like we tested the workout. I think most of the workout were out, so we had, you know, a plan. We knew, you know, the wrist would be fine through those movements. So it was more, you know, like, let's just see how it plays out. Just also like getting back to us working together again through competition, you know, like, just like, it was more here. To be fair, it wasn't as much like, let's see where you end up on the leaderboard. There were so much more going into that weekend, just getting back on the floor, like, just you know, the nerves, just how do you feel? Like, even before going to Marbella, I remember it was like, I'm gonna find out if I still want it. And that was almost more that, like, you know, that was more the conversation, getting back to, you know, one at a time, like having a great plan, see, how she would execute. I always tell her, like, since we started together, I'm always like, let's put the right ingredients, the outcome will take care of itself. If you focus on those things, you'll have the best outcome you can hope for if you get everything right. If you make, like, it's always how many good decisions can you make in the weekend? Like, how well can you execute and make good decisions? So it wasn't, you know, let's see, can you win it, or but it was more around, like, are you fired up? Like, what's the feeling inside? Like, how do you find being out there? How do you deal with the obstacle over the weekend? And that was more what I was after. You know, she would message me, we would call even before before the workouts, like even Waterpalooza, like I was on the phone quite often.
Yeah, your wife was like, you should have just gone. This is more annoying than if you just gone.
You're no help here.
Yeah. With what? So was Waterpalooza sort of like a repeat of like a similar kind of process, but it was a more elite field? Was it just basically like, all right, you've proven that you still want it. Now let's see if you can keep up a bit, and let's see if you still want it if you don't win, or if you're getting knocked around a bit, basically.
Yeah, I think after Marbella, she knew she had that fire. Like, it was still there. Like, you know, it had gone nowhere. With Waterpalooza, it was more, well, let's see in an elite field where you are, and see what, like, where are we, and therefore what do we need to do if we want to qualify for the games. Like,
did you think she was there? Did you think she was like at the top of the field?
Before Waterpalooza, you know, we didn't, like, I knew she, you know, we tested a workout, you know, she performed well, but you don't know until you line up. Like, at any competition, like, everyone puts the work. Everyone, you know.
Yeah, I understand that, but I feel like you do know. I feel like you're the type of coach with the attention to detail you have. I figure I could say a female athlete to you and a movement and a number of reps or calories, and you'd probably be thereabouts with how many seconds it would take them. So, like, I think when you're watching, maybe you didn't verbalize it to her, or maybe you didn't admit it to yourself, but like, are you looking at the field, looking at the workouts and thinking, fuck, she could win this? Like, do you ever allow yourself to go there? Like, to allow yourself to think like, shit, she could, man, if she beats Laura, that's fucking crazy. She could win this whole thing.
Before the Palooza, I didn't think that, because there were too many movements that we were still very early into the build, that I was like, you know, she's not doing working sets that where I know she could be 6 months down the line. So you're like, you know, so that's why I didn't go there. I was like, let's just make sure we have that dialed in for you going into it. You know, like that last one, I didn't think with the amount of work we could have done, we had done on ring muscle up, that she would be there on that last workout. I knew it was a good workout in terms of, you know, the time domain, the amount of work that there is in there. It's a good one. It was just there were too many of those movements where, you know, the wall facing handstand push up, same thing. Like, she had just reintroduced some flattened work. So, you know, like, it was just too early in the process of those movements for me to be like, you know, girls that have trained them for 3 years, or even knowing where she could be at with a little bit more work with those things. So if you had called me before, I'd be like, do you think she'll podium or win it? I would have, you know, it's sort of like, I wouldn't have said yes. So yeah.
Did that change then? Did that, like, after Waterpalooza, are you like, all right, okay, let's go? Like, we have, like, if she can win there at that stage of, you know, recovery or comeback or whatever you want to call it, like, winning Marbella is kind of like, okay, yeah, cool. But then you look at the field and you're like, all right, like, it is great, but it's not like a fucking semi-final or anything. Then you go to Waterpalooza, win that. Do you have to control your expectations after that? Like, do you have to kind of say, okay, that was great, but we still have a lot of work to do, etc.?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that it was more like a relief knowing that the work we've done was the right one, if that makes sense. Like it was more, like, okay, we're on to something right. Let's just keep doing that. That was more that, like, let's just see, like, even going forward, like having a year where she can do everything, it's an exciting place to be. So it was more like after Wodapalooza, it's more, okay, we're in a better place than we thought. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. And then, with those progress, that means we can be competing in the race to have good results. But then, you never know what the workouts can be like. Like it's always, the thing is, like, of course, like you wanna set goals, and where it's like you don't want to not be like, we want to do really well at that competition, but it's like you can't spend time there. Like it's not, you're not going to improve anything by just saying I want to go there and podium or win. And it's the thing where we spend very little time to talk about those things. We just make sure we talk a lot about the things that actually make the difference to make that happen. And as long as the work is there, like the key element mentally to help perform where you can perform are there, then like I said, the result take care of themselves. I know it's a bit of a
No, I understand. I think for us, like for fans, it's more black and white, but I understand that it's a lot more nuanced than just like, oh, she can win this, let's go and win it. Or, she has no chance here, like, let's just try and, bridge the gap a bit. Well, with the season this year, so obviously World Fitness Project is there as well. And it's kind of changed things. So like when you look at the games field and you look at the athletes in the games field, there's a lot. I mean, you look at like Dallin had issues at SoCal. He's got like rhabdo or whatever. You have lots of people are pulling out of World Fitness Project finals. Like a lot of athletes are saying, oh, I want to kind of close the gap for next year, so I'm going to withdraw, or I've a small injury, so I'm going to withdraw, or I have a big injury, so I'm going to withdraw, or some are just not giving any reasons. Lucy's like, it's fucking incredible when you look at those type of statistics of the amount of people that are dropping out and withdrawing versus the other games athletes who are also doing the World Fitness Project season, who are just like there or thereabouts, like they're just almost like they're just participating basically. And then and I'm sure they're trying, but it's just there's so much shit to do across the whole year. But then you look at Lucy, who wins a competition in October, wins a competition in January, like a major competition in January, wins, like qualifies for the games, does World Fitness Project in the meantime, finished like fourth, I think, or third or fourth, that first one. Fourth, and then podiums at the games, and then podiums at World Fitness Project again. Did she in third, I think, again, or second?
No, she was fifth on the second.
Oh, fifth in the second. Podiums at Rogue, and she's fourth or third overall in the World Fitness Project leaderboard or whatever. Like she could potentially win World Fitness Project having just won fucking everything like for the whole year. Do you think the fact that she had like those 3 years, say, and I'm not saying she was doing nothing, I'm not saying she was resting, but she had those 3 years where she wasn't put under the same kind of, consistent, regular pressure as the girls that were competing all the time, is almost like she was able to take a break from the competition side and then come back and be fresher and she's obviously hungrier because she knows she still wants it, and it was almost taken away from her, and it was for such a long period of time. So she's able to attack it more. Like she maybe wants it more. I'm not sure if that's actually accurate, but like it probably feels like she wants it more, or is hungrier for it. And she's had the benefit of not competing for those 3 years. Obviously she has the downside of not being able to train to full capacity, but as in she's not beating the shit out of herself for 3 years basically the same way a lot of those other girls were? Or do you think it's down to just incredibly well planned programming and training that has just had these peaks at the exact right time that it seems like other coaches just haven't managed?
I mean, it's hard for me to know, like, I think there is an element where not competing for 3 years, you come back and, like, you probably, that fuels you even more. So I think there's some element, like, I can't really speak about like how others, where they are in terms of that fire to compete. I think there is an element where, same thing. I think we navigated that year quite well so far in terms of, competing that often, still being able to work on the things we want to work, pick at the time we want to pick, just making sure that we still find time to, like, lower the volume or the intensity and just make sure she can navigate all those competition. Doesn't mean she, you can't prioritize them the same amount. So you can't, the training is not the same leading up to all of them. But it's just finding that right balance to make sure you're, staying healthy throughout. You're also like turning up in, good enough shape, if that makes sense. So I think,
are you surprised at how much some camps or athletes or whatever are either struggling? Like, obviously there's an aspect of it, I'm sure, that some just aren't prioritizing everything. Like, you can't prioritize everything, but some are just like, do you know what, fuck it, I have my contract. I'll just go and I'll try. Like, I'm a competitive, I'm going to try my best in the workouts, but it's also like, it's fine, versus like, she obviously really wants it and you've coached her or you've gotten her to the point where she can have it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I think there's other camps where something's not like, one of those things is missing from a lot of different people. Either they don't want it badly enough or they haven't been prepared adequately to be able to take it.
I think there's two elements there where I think the training we do helps being durable. Like, it's not that it minimizes injuries, but it just like, I know she can cope with a good amount of volume because of the work that we do. And I will structure it. I also, she also has that from a sport background, and like, she has that endurance, physiology, and durable. So like, she can cope probably with more volume than most. So added those two things together, it means that, so far, like, the year, she's been able to do what she's done this year. So I think it's a bit of, a combination of both who she is, as an athlete, and also the preparation that we do. I think it's something, and the thing we're all navigating that, it's the first year that it's
Lucy thinks it's you. The last one, obviously, she thinks it's more you than how badly she wants it.
Well,
yeah,
and I think that's the. I think we're all trying to figure it out this year. It's the first year where everyone is competing that much, so it's a different approach. So it's like, trying to be as smart with it, but as
you need to progress, but you need to be clever, and you can't overreach, basically.
No, exactly. Like, you can't. It's how do you modulate the amount of intensity you do? How much do you need for what competition? What do you need to prioritize? Like, with Lucy, like, after the games, like, when after WFP 202, we're like, we need, some development work, like, off season, however you want to call it. That's what, like, let's go into that. We know we have those competition. There is rock. There is those other things. What do we need to keep in that training that would look different if it was just pure off season. To just go there, be able to, you know, perform and you know, come out of it healthy enough that you can go back into training. And that's the thing, like you can't drop too far off and not do enough intensity, that then you get 9 workout and you get destroyed, and then, you know.
The last thing anybody wants to do is puke on the floor at Rogue. I mean, that's low on the list of that must have felt really fucking special though, like watching her podium at Rogue, because it's like, even whatever peak she's at, she's not on paper, she's not a Rogue Invitational athlete. Do you know what I mean? She's not like there's just so many things going against her there.
It was special. I think I was, you know, I had that little moment where I was like, it was on par with the games, but even more like, and I would dare to say potentially a bit above, just because, and that's something we discussed before the weekend, like it's that first event we knew would be a challenge for her. So like, and that was one of the things we said going into the weekend. Let's see how it is to have a weekend where we don't start with a positive momentum, because usually you have like long event, and you know, she does pretty well in those events. So you know, it's not that easy. It's easier to go into the weekend where you have like good momentum, like Rogue, like you said, on paper it's not, you know, it's heavy, it's a lot of power output.
She should get slapped around a bit, basically, at Rogue. Like, it's kind of like she could have won like sporadic, a good event, and then she's just going to get the shit beaten out of her by like something on paper by something.
Yeah, well, and at the same time, it was like, well, like all the work you've done, like, you know, it's just showed the progression in some of the aspects where, you know, 3 years ago when she had some markers in competition with those other girls, she was a lot, you know, further back. So that was special for those things where, you know, a lot more challenges and obstacles than other weekends, like, you know, at the games, for example, where there were those, but probably not as, you know, straight away like at Rogue, if that makes sense. How dealing with all this and then finishing on the podium, it was special. I mean, all this year has been special. Like, you know, I've been blessed with a few special moments.
You know what would have sped up her recovery an awful lot from her injury would be if she had taken peptides, which obviously she can't because she's like wants to be competing. But if she did want to, on Friday, if she goes to biomaxpeptides.com and uses BF, she gets 10% off because of the Black Friday deal. Just for anybody who doesn't want to compete, who thinks I have a sore wrist or I have a sore shoulder or I pulled my hamstring or whatever. Hitter's taken a lot of different stuff and he swears by it. He thinks it's fucking insane. Rogue was fucking nuts. Like, watching her at Rogue was absolutely incredible. Thank you. Yeah, that actually was a really fucking good segue. I've been waiting like 20 minutes to get that in there. You got to pay the bills, got to keep the lights on. It is crazy, like, when you think about like 12 months previously, she's sitting watching it, like in the stands, just being like, again, probably having those similar thoughts that she had commentating on, being like, fuck, like these are really good. I'm like, I'm not there, and will I ever get there again, basically?
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember I'm sure she mentioned that after Rogue as well. But yeah, it was special. The home crowd as well, like just here, that made the weekend special. Even for me, like, you know, she would line up and you would hear, "Go Lucy." I had like that family with some young children. They were like, "Oh, Lucy's just there." You know, they were on the box next to where the coaches were sitting, and it was just so sweet. Like, it was really, really nice. And for her, like, I knew she was enjoying it as well. So it was like a special weekend. Special weekend for that.
When you're at Rogue or at the games, or even just like watching online and stuff, and you see athletes post things or athletes doing things in warm-ups or coaches telling their athletes to do things in warm-ups, you don't strike me as a judgmental type externally, but internally, are you ever like, fuck are they doing that for? Like, that is, what are they thinking? Like, why are they doing that? That workout doesn't make any sense. Or why are they doing that workout now? Like, that doesn't make sense. Or why are they activating like that? Like, do you ever find yourself looking around the warm-up area being like, you shouldn't do that?
Everyone does, of course. Yeah, of course you do. Like, you look around. It had happened. Like, you see sometimes, like, you got competition and coaches completely try to change someone's technique just before they go on the floor, and you're like, probably not the moment to change something on their snatch before they go out there. But we're all, looking at around, like, take the pulse, see where everyone is at. Like, I think athletes do it. I'm sure, but yeah, I keep that to myself.
I think, like, Lucy's probably one of the exceptions, but I remember, like, was it JR maybe told me that, like, most athletes are kind of dumb. Like, he was like, you'll be in the warm-up area and there'll be a rope climb workout and they'll just be doing so many rope climbs that you're like, stop. Like why you do it? Like, there's only 12 in the workout. You've already done 15. Like, you're just going to be fatigued. So yeah, it must be interesting watching some of the stuff that happens after, like, the games and Rogue and stuff. Have you been approached by other people now? Has that started to happen where people are like, oh, I'm really admiring what you've done with Lucy. I'm wondering, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, yeah, so some people have reached out, like, no, athletes you would know, but I think that sparked a little bit more interest. So yeah, just it's been a good momentum as well for me.
Do you think you like, would it be difficult to take on another female at her level, do you think? Would it be easier maybe to take on a guy and work with a guy, like a top 10 guy sort of thing, rather than another girl?
Yeah, I think it's a discussion. I would always have a chat with, like, I wouldn't take someone that would be a direct competitor, or at least have a discussion with Lucy around that and make sure, she'd be on board. I think a male athlete would be a lot more straightforward.
It'd be an easier conversation to have, I'm sure. Yeah. What's the what would you call it? Like the avatar or the archetype athlete that you'd want then? Like, someone's coming, like, if your dream athlete was to walk through the door, what type of person is it?
I think I would think for them to get the most out of working with me, like, it's someone that, like, that can take on quite a bit of information. Like, I think, like, don't get me wrong, like, I will always meet the athlete where they are and progress them through. But I think it's like the thing that, help Lucy perform the way she does is how well she can take in a lot of information and use that even under high pressure. And that's the thing where I think I bring a lot to that. And I think it's something, I don't know how everyone is working, if that makes sense, but I think the amount of details I put into, the training and the performance, like, someone that can suck it all in and take it all in, like, it's just, that would be, the perfect match. But then, I think it's would
you rather raw potential, or would you rather someone that just needs that last little nudge, like someone that's like, top 6 at the games and could potentially podium, or has almost made the games and just needs a little tiny little changes to get there to where they want to be? Or would you rather someone who's like crazy athletic and just starting out? Do you know what I mean? Like someone that's untouched or just unpolished.
Yeah, I think the second. Yeah.
No bad habits, no nothing to undo.
Yeah, and going through that journey, if that makes sense as well. Like it's also like you can probably help with habits early on that will make the ceiling higher.
There's probably less time pressure too, because like if you have someone who's there or thereabouts, I mean, the season's going to start in a couple of months. So it's like, how much work can you possibly put in that period of time versus someone who's like, I'm just starting out. I've never, I don't have any actual aspirations or knowledge of where I could go, basically.
Yeah, there's, I think, however, I think there is a lot of, like in average, I think people don't perform as well as they could perform just with the raw potential that they have or the performance that they have. Like I think there is, even at the highest level, like some element in workout execution, pacing, strategy that is unexploited. And I think even for people that are already at the top, there is often, I think, a lot that is left on the table.
Do you watch that? Like, so you're watching, just say like the guys field. Are you like looking? Because I mean, I do it. I don't know shit about fuck, but I do it where I watch like someone like Moritz. Like I'm watching him being like, why is he doing that? Like, like that. I like he did the same thing last year in the same type of workout, and how does he think it's going to go any differently this time? And then sure enough, or like you see certain types of athletes that you're like, no, like this is, and I feel like if I can see that sort of stuff, that you must be tearing your fucking hair out looking at some of the stuff that happens.
Well, yeah, there've been instances where you're like, well, I wouldn't have advised to do it like that. But for me, it's more as well, like I treat it as research and development as well. Like it's good to know, little techniques that might pop up here and there, like that also to know where, the standard is at. And also for those things where, I mean, I rarely look at it being like, oh, let's see, how people strategize it, or where they didn't do it right. It's more like, let's see where the different techniques people are doing, male as well, and just those things. But while you watch that, you can see some things where you're like,
that was
probably not the best idea.
That sort of stuff. Yeah. Obviously this year, so she goes and defies expectations for outsiders, certainly throughout the whole season. So like nobody outside who isn't biased, I suppose. I'm sure her mum thought she'd podium, but like nobody on the outside looking in would be like, she'll probably win Wodapalooza. And then the same with podiuming at the games. Like I don't think many people would have picked her to podium at the games, and the same at Rogue. Does it change things now, say 2026, because now there is expectations to live up to, and there is previous performance that shows that she's capable of, winning the games or winning these big competitions, versus like shocking people? Do you know what I mean? Does it change the approach? Does it change the conversations or the preparations?
No, I mean, it changes how, like we had those discussions along the year where it was like, you feel a little bit more pressure because there is, for her, like she feels more pressure because there is more expectation. And like I always tell her, well, that's just, the flip side of the coin, that, you're doing those great performances that comes with it. It's just not losing sight of what actually are the things that make you turn up those weekends and do what you do.
Yeah.
And it's like, however big that pressure is, he's just being like that, I know those are the things that matter and make the difference, and I just need to find a way to just keep my head clear on those things and focus on that. And that's my job, to keep her there rather than thinking about the other things. In terms of the plan, like, for me, it doesn't change. It's like how much progress and how good can I get Lucy to turn up on those weekends, and that's the only focus. Like, it doesn't change my approach. It's not going to change what we do. It's just like, let's keep adding bricks and progressing, and keep the things that have got us where you are. Like, we're not changing because that would be the stupidest thing would be to change what actually it's worked so far. Like, it doesn't mean we do exactly the same. It's no, like, we're going to put the same thought to what do you need to do next to progress and take that next step, and let's just focus on that, and the rest, like I said,
Is there here's like a two, I'll give you the two questions at the same time so you can be thinking about both. Is there one thing that you see commonly in the sport, or like coaches or athletes doing, that you just think is a waste of time and they shouldn't be doing it anymore? Or is there one thing that you don't see athletes or coaches doing that you're thinking, God, if everyone did this, everyone would improve so much in whatever aspect it is? Like, you hear a lot of people saying that, zone 2 is a pile of shit and like there's no need for it. There's way too much of it in, like, I'm talking about Gen Pop more so than the elites, but like that they're like, we do way too much. There's no point. Like, you're not going to get the benefit from it. That you could spend your time more wisely on other things, basically. Is there that sort of thing at the top level that you're like, oh, if everyone just stopped doing this and started doing this instead?
You're asking me something. I honestly don't know what people's training look like that much, like to the point where I know what we do that makes, I think, a big difference.
But you're not going to say that, obviously.
No, yeah,
You're definitely like Lucy's here. Like, don't tell him, shut the fuck up. Like, stop asking him. Yeah, which is fair.
Yeah, like, plus the thing is, like, it's really athlete dependent. Where like it's more, sometimes I see someone doing something that for who they are is a waste of time. I'll tell you something then. I think people are stretching way too much, more than they should.
Like mobility stuff, you mean?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Because I think some people that have, ample range of motion keep stretching while they should just keep strengthening that range of motion. Like, I think it's...
So if you have an athlete that's really flexible, them stretching is pointless, basically. Like, you might as well load it rather than do... Yeah, okay. That makes sense, I guess.
So I think it's one of the things, and I said that because I think it's one of the biggest one that I think brings on injuries, overuse injuries. And I'm not saying not to stretch at all. Like, the person that needs to stretch should stretch. But I think there's a lot of people that don't need stretching that stretch.
Do you think a lot of people do it out of like routine or like calming? Like, I'm in the warm-up area. What I'll do my fucking hamstring bullshit because it's routine and it's, robotic almost.
Yeah, I think there's a big part of that, like just that routine before starting training, like, but that's, detrimental to the performance. So it's like, sometimes, as a coach, it's always weighing that, like, is the benefit of the routine more costly than the, more rewarding than the cost it brings. And then if it's not balanced, if it's,
like if your routine is having a cigarette out the back before the workout, it's probably detrimental.
For
example. I think a lot of athletes will benefit from taking my approach, which is you just raw dog everything.
No warm up.
So like, just straight in.
That's the dad's approach.
Yeah,
no time for warm up. Let's just go.
I do like a mile, and Hiller's doing this like mile run every day. So I was like, fuck it, I'll do that. And I saw someone put up on Instagram earlier on, like, I just raw dogged a 2K run. And I was like, who the fuck warms up for anything other than like under a half marathon? I just don't feel there's any point. Like if you're doing a 5K, your first 2.5 kilometers is your warm up, and then you see what's in the tank for the last 2.5. Yeah, the same. Like I did my wife she's going to like a concert, and it was like 400-meter run, 16 dumbbell snatch, 400-meter run 20, 400-meter run 24. And I was carrying the dumbbell out the front, and she was like, where are you going with that? And I said, oh, dumbbell snatch. She's like, did you warm up? I was like, no. It's just like straight in. Like I'm carrying it out. Like my grip is being warmed up. It's fine. Yeah, I think the dad approach is very different from the elite athlete approach.
Time efficiency.
Oh yeah. It's like, how much can I cram in here in as short a space as possible? Like I do Sentinel. If anybody wants to, you can scan the QR code. I do Sentinel, and they do like a 5-week cycle. So there's like, it doesn't reset, but like there's a break but it's a break week this week, and it's just so good because every workout's like, there's one condition piece that's like 40 minutes, but like everything else is like today's one was 8 minutes, like yesterday's was 10. It's just so quick, and it's like, I'm gonna go train. I come back in, my wife's like, you're finished already? I'm like, yep. Like it's not an hour. Yeah, it's great. You probably just need a better sleep and nutrition to repair than stretching. Yeah, that's probably accurate enough. Finally, somebody said it. That's what you're saying about the stretching. The first round is the warm up. Yeah, first half of the workout is the warm up. Like I came out, so this will tell you how bad it is. So the workout was, you were supposed to use a 30-kilo dumbbell, and I don't have it. I only have a 22.5. So then I checked the equipment substitutes, and I was like, I'll use a 38-kilo barbell instead if you don't have a 30-kilo dumbbell. So I was like, okay. And I had 40 kilos on the bar from doing thrusters yesterday. I did one empty bar thruster yesterday, put 40 kilos on and just went for it. And then I actually didn't even do a thruster. I just did a front squat. I was like, fuck it, my shoulders will be fine. So I looked at the barbell today, and I was like, power snatches, I don't really know. And I just knocked out like 3. I was like, no, I'm going to stick to the dumbbell. But again, it's just like, just grip it and riff it and hope for the best. And just be like, it'll be fine. Speaking of actually workouts, so I decided today that I'm going to do, for every subscriber to the YouTube channel, every new subscriber, so you can't unsubscribe and resubscribe because I know what number I was at today, but every subscriber to the YouTube channel, I'll do 2 calories on New Year's Day. So I'll go up until New Year's Eve. So far, I think I have to do 4 calories. So that's New Year's Day is a write-off now at this point. That's 4 calories. That's, I can make that take as long or as short as I want. And then Barbell Spin saw that, and they said they do 3 calories because, they always just have to one up. So if there's however many of you are watching now, if any of you don't subscribe, if you do subscribe, you're basically condemning me to 2 more calories on top of whatever else comes. So it's just it's an easy win. So you're from France. You did college in Italy. You live in London. Do you speak Italian then? Okay, yes, and French, obviously, and English. What is that? It? Do you speak like Chinese or anything?
No, I used to speak Spanish, but now my brain has confused it with Italian. So yeah, it would be hard. So yeah.
Are you fluent? Yeah. Are you fluent in Italian?
Yeah. Like I was working in London, but in the Italian bank, it was mainly in Italian all day. So I had to survive. Like it's like French people. Like if you're surrounded by French people, they're gonna speak French. You have to, learn. Otherwise, like you're on your own. So yeah, I just picked it up because in Milan I was studying in English, so I didn't learn any Italian there. It was actually once in London at work.
So is all of are you conversational Italian, or is it all very specific topics?
No, I'm conversational.
If it's banking, you're perfect. But if they start talking about farming, you're fucked.
Yeah, there's probably a bit of that. Like I missed some of the vocabulary. Yeah. The banking was mainly in English, like the specific terms.
But the people you were working with were Italian.
Yeah.
There's varied, cultural differences there between the French and their body language and, way of expressing themselves. The Italian, their body language, and then the English and their body language, a way of expressing. Like I even see it with we have a lot of like Eastern European kids in our school, and the parents, like some of them, you're like, they're so fucking ignorant, but it's just they're direct. Like they're just like, they just be like, no. And that instead of saying, no, I'm really sorry, which is what an Irish person would do, they'd over apologize. But an Eastern European is just like, no.
3 words, yeah.
Cut and dry. Is that an adjustment then going from the different like mannerisms and cultures and stuff?
Well, I find myself a little bit different when I speak Italian, because I was in that environment as well, and it's a lot more like, you speak with your hands a little bit more. It's a little bit more
higher energy, more emotional.
Exactly. Thank you, Peter. Exactly, and I match that. Like my way to speak or to be when I speak Italian is a little bit, more higher energy than my natural self. That is fairly like calm, low energy when I speak French or English. So that was quite interesting because like especially because I learned it by listening. Like we had a few lessons provided by the bank, but it was mainly like picking it up by listening. It was influenced by who was speaking, like how they spoke. And Italians have a high energy, 10 words to say something that could take 3.
Passionate. They're a passionate bunch by and large. Whereas I describe the French as more kind of like dismissive. Like, they're like maybe just not as quick to engage in emotion or passion or whatever. And then I don't know. I don't want to describe the English. I might piss too many people off if I start going down that road. Okay, so what's up next then? Are you going to Copenhagen?
No, I'm not going to Copenhagen. I think it's going to be next year. Semi-final. I'll be traveling with Lucy. But this year was semis, games, Rogue.
Enough is enough.
It's mainly like the time of the year, like Christmas, the kids are, off school. My birthday on the Monday,
what's your birthday? Is the
22nd?
Oh, mine's the 21st. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
And my daughter's is the 21st as well, so we share a birthday. So it's not my birthday. On the 21st.
Not anymore. That's it.
So yeah, I'm going to Copenhagen. I'm going on the that's funny, after you saying like I can't go, it's my birthday, it's the family, and I'm like, yeah, so I'm going. I'm going I go over on the Thursday. It starts on the Thursday, doesn't it? The swim is on the Thursday, I think. So I go over on the Thursday and I come home at like midnight on the Saturday. I land in Dublin at midnight, come home, and then birthday bullshit or whatever on Sunday. Make a fuss of my daughter, basically. Oh, that's funny. Seema's birthday is the 21st as well. So that's next. And have you more training camps coming up then between now and will you do like a pre-open kind of one?
It'll probably be I'm still defining that exactly, but like March, April time. That's where I'll be looking to do one.
Lucy says, I enjoy how excited people get about sharing birthdays. Yeah, I don't know why that. I remember I feel like it's incredible that people meet each other and have the same birthday, but apparently it's just the same odds as having any birthday. Like that it's, like that you being born on the 1st of February is just as likely as you being born on the 22nd. But to me, it's like, oh, wow, our birthdays are beside each other. And like when my daughter was born, I thought it was fucking nuts that we had the same birthday. Like I thought that was crazy. And then I Googled it and it was like, statistically, it's not even a slight anomaly. It's just like a mild coincidence and that's it. I thought that was bizarre.
The thing, I think there is an element of having it so close to Christmas. I think you can relate a little bit about but I think
you either did great as a kid or you suffered because they were too close. So it depends what kind of parents you had. So like my daughter does really well because I did badly as a child. So I'm like, well, she's not going to suffer my fate. She's going to be spoiled as fuck for those 5 days. It's a funny one. I remember just being so disappointed when I heard that it's not even anyway interesting that we share a birthday. I thought it was bizarre. And they were like, no, it's actually just as like she could have been born any day. And I'm like, all right, okay, fair enough.
It makes you relate more, even if statistically,
Yeah. All right. Holy shit, we've been here an hour and a half. If you don't subscribe, so I can do some calories on New Year's Day. Congrats. She said she's going to try and win for your birthday. That'd be great. I mean, you can do it for me and my daughter as well. You'd actually be on the podium on our birthday. Like, Cyril doesn't matter at all, really, when you think of it that way. Congrats on everything you've achieved, especially with Lucy. It's just crazy 14 months. Like, it's fucking nuts, especially after the doldrums of the 3 years that came before it. Really appreciate you coming on. Great getting to talk to you.
thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Thanks everybody for watching. Subscribe if you don't subscribe. Sentinel training, you should be. That's more for my type of person, Cyril. So it's not imposing on you at all that I'm advertising them. I think RX Marky are doing I think they're doing like 20% off or something tomorrow, or 25% off for Black Friday. Biomax, you can use BF. And then Frog Grips. Lucy's a Frog Grips athlete, actually, so she won't mind this segue. But Frog Grips are doing a Black Friday. I think it's on currently. It's like 35% or 30% off or something. So yeah, keep an eye out tomorrow. There'll be loads of deals, I'm sure. Cyril, thank you. Thanks everybody for watching. Tomorrow at 6 p.m., myself, JR, Jamie, and Johnny are going through, what's the name of the affiliate? CrossFit Backland in America have sent us a video of their affiliate, and they've filled out a survey of all these different questions, and we're going to go through their affiliate and say, here's how you can improve this, here's how you can improve this, and then take 10% of their profits moving forward, hopefully. So people can come back and watch that.